Let's speak plainly about something that is often misunderstood. The idea that men are only drawn to youth is an oversimplification, a misrepresentation of deeper psychological realities. While physical attraction is a factor in any relationship, it is far from the only one. Confidence, intelligence, grace, these are qualities that transcend age, and older women who understand this, who cultivate these characteristics with intention, will never be invisible. In fact, they will command attention in ways that younger women simply cannot. Confidence is not merely an external display, it is a deep-rooted understanding of one's own worth. It is the quiet assurance that does not seek validation, the inner strength that does not waver under scrutiny. Those who carry themselves with confidence do not shrink in the presence of others, nor do they inflate themselves in an attempt to dominate. They move through the world with a certainty that is neither boastful nor apologetic. True confidence does not come from external praise or fleeting compliments. It is cultivated through experience, through overcoming difficulties, through proving to oneself time and time again that they are capable. Those who carry themselves with confidence have learned that self-respect cannot be outsourced, that true validation comes from within, and that waiting for the world to affirm their worth is a losing battle. They do not seek approval, but they naturally receive it. There is something unmistakably attractive about a person who is not desperate for attention. When someone walks into a room with an air of self-assurance, without trying to prove anything, others take notice. Confidence does not need to be loud. In fact, the most powerful form of confidence is often the quietest, the kind that is felt rather than proclaimed. Their posture reflects their mindset, shoulders back, head held high, movements deliberate. These are not accidental traits. The way a person physically carries themselves is a direct reflection of their internal state. Those who move with purpose, who do not fidget with nervous energy, who occupy space without hesitation, project a confidence that is impossible to ignore. The body communicates before the mouth ever speaks, and those who understand this use it to their advantage. They are not easily shaken by criticism. Confident individuals do not crumble under judgment, nor do they take every opinion to heart. They listen, they assess, but they do not allow negativity to define them. They understand the difference between constructive feedback and empty noise, and they do not waste energy defending themselves against baseless criticism. Their sense of self is not built on public approval, and because of that, it cannot be easily dismantled. They do not compare themselves to others. Insecurity is born from comparison, from measuring oneself against unrealistic standards, from believing that someone else's success diminishes their own. Those who carry themselves with confidence do not waste time envying others. They focus on their own path, their own growth, their own journey. They understand that confidence is not about being better than others. It is about being better than they were yesterday. Their words carry weight. When confident people speak, they do not do so to fill silence or to seek reassurance. They speak with clarity, with intention, with purpose. They do not over-explain, they do not apologize for their existence, and they do not dilute their opinions to make others comfortable. They understand that their voice is valuable and they use it accordingly. They are not afraid of solitude. Insecurity seeks constant company, needing the presence of others to feel validated. Confidence, however, thrives in solitude. Those who carry themselves with confidence do not fear being alone. They embrace it. They understand that solitude is not loneliness, but an opportunity for self-reflection, growth, and independence. They are at peace with themselves, and that peace radiates outward. They do not chase, they attract. Whether in relationships, careers, or friendships, confident individuals do not beg for attention, opportunities, or approval. They do not cling to those who do not value them, nor do they lower their standards out of fear of rejection. They understand their worth, and because of that, they naturally draw others toward them. Desperation repels, while self-assurance captivates. They take responsibility for their lives. Confidence is not about pretending to have all the answers. It is about owning one's choices, learning from mistakes, and continually striving for self-improvement. Those who carry themselves with confidence do not make excuses or blame others for their failures. They face challenges head-on, understanding that growth comes from taking full responsibility for one's actions. They embrace discomfort. Confidence is not developed in comfort, it is forged through challenge, through stepping into the unknown, through pushing past fear. Those who carry themselves with confidence do not avoid difficult situations, they lean into them. They understand that growth lies just beyond the limits of their comfort zone, and they refuse to let fear dictate their lives. Their presence commands respect. There is something undeniably compelling about a person who does not demand respect, but simply expects it through their very being. They do not tolerate disrespect, not because they need to prove a point, but because they understand their own value. They do not seek to control others, yet their influence is undeniable. They do not need to assert dominance, yet their presence alone shifts the energy in a room. A sharp mind and a strong body are not luxuries. They are necessities for anyone who wishes to navigate life with resilience and purpose. Those who allow themselves to deteriorate, either physically or mentally, lose their ability to command respect, to influence others, and to remain relevant in a world that constantly demands more. Strength, both of the body and of the mind, is not something that is granted. It is something that must be cultivated through discipline and intention. Physical sharpness is not about vanity. It is not about chasing an impossible standard of perfection, nor is it about desperately clinging to youth. It is about maintaining the energy, agility, and strength needed to move through the world with confidence. A body that is neglected will betray its owner, becoming sluggish, weak, and prone to illness. Those who keep themselves physically sharp understand that strength is not merely for aesthetics, it is for survival. Movement is a necessity, not an option. Those who allow themselves to become sedentary inevitably begin to decay, both in body and in mind. The human body was not designed to sit motionless for hours on end. It was built for movement, for exertion, for challenge. Strength training, cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, these are not things that only athletes should pursue. They are the foundations of a life that is lived with vitality rather than passivity. The mind and body are not separate entities. They are inextricably linked. A weak body often houses a weak mind, just as a sharp mind is most often found in a body that is well cared for. Those who neglect their physical health often find themselves struggling with mental fog, fatigue, and a lack of motivation. Those who push their bodies to be strong find that their minds follow suit, developing greater discipline, clarity, and resilience. Mental sharpness requires intentional effort. It is not enough to simply exist, to passively consume entertainment, to drift through life without challenge. The mind must be exercised just as the body must be. Reading, engaging in difficult conversations, solving problems, learning new skills. These are the weights that strengthen the mind. Those who refuse to engage in these mental exercises find themselves becoming dull, their thoughts slow, their ability to analyze and adapt weakening over time. They do not allow themselves to be overwhelmed by distractions. The modern world is designed to dull the mind, to keep people passive, to ensure that they are constantly entertained but never truly engaged. Those who keep themselves mentally sharp recognize this trap and avoid it. They do not waste their time scrolling endlessly through meaningless content, allowing their attention span to shrink. They cultivate focus, choosing depth over distraction, knowledge over mindless consumption. They understand the power of discipline. Physical and mental sharpness do not come from occasional bursts of effort. They come from consistent, disciplined habits. Those who are sharp do not wait for motivation to strike before they take action. They push themselves even when they do not feel like it, understanding that discipline, not desire, is what separates those who remain strong from those who deteriorate. They embrace discomfort as a tool for growth. Comfort is the enemy of sharpness. The mind and body both atrophy when they are not challenged. Those who stay sharp seek out difficulty rather than avoiding it. They lift heavier weights, push through fatigue, engage in difficult discussions, seek out intellectual challenges. They do not retreat when something is hard. They push forward, knowing that the struggle is where growth happens. They fuel themselves properly. A mind and body that are not properly nourished cannot function at their highest level. Those who prioritize their sharpness do not poison themselves with excessive junk food, sugar, or mind-altering substances. They understand that food is fuel, that what they put into their body directly impacts their ability to think, move, and perform. They choose what strengthens them rather than what merely satisfies a temporary craving. They maintain an active curiosity. A sharp mind is one that never stops learning. Those who keep themselves mentally sharp do not assume they already know enough. They ask questions, they explore new ideas, they seek out new perspectives. They understand that stagnation is the first step toward decline, and they fight against it by constantly expanding their knowledge and understanding of the world. They do not allow excuses to dictate their choices. It is easy to say that age, time, or circumstances are barriers to maintaining physical and mental sharpness, but those who stay strong refuse to accept these excuses. They find ways to train their bodies despite injuries, to train their minds despite distractions, to push forward even when it would be easier to give up. They take full ownership of their sharpness, understanding that it is always within their control. They are prepared for whatever life throws at them. The world is unpredictable, challenges arise, obstacles appear, difficulties come without warning. Those who are physically and mentally sharp are not caught off guard. They are ready. Their bodies are strong enough to endure hardship. Their minds are sharp enough to solve complex problems. Their will is disciplined enough to push through adversity. And because of this, they do not merely survive in a difficult world, they thrive. Emotional stability is a sign of strength, a foundation upon which maturity is built. Those who possess it do not allow fleeting emotions to dictate their actions, nor do they crumble under pressure. They have mastered themselves in a way that makes them reliable, consistent, and unfazed by the chaos that overwhelms so many. Their presence is calming not because they are emotionless, but because they have learned to manage their emotions rather than be controlled by them. They do not react impulsively. While others lash out, panic, or become consumed by anger, they remain composed. This is not suppression, it is self-mastery. They understand that acting in the heat of emotion often leads to regret, so they take a moment to process, to think, to respond rather than react. This ability sets them apart, allowing them to navigate conflicts and challenges with a level head that commands respect. They are not easily offended. Maturity means understanding that not every comment is an attack, that not every disagreement is a battle, that not every slight requires retaliation. Those who radiate emotional stability do not waste their energy on petty conflicts. They choose their battles wisely, refusing to let the words or actions of others dictate their inner peace. They recognize the difference between constructive criticism and meaningless noise, and they respond accordingly. They do not seek validation from others. Their sense of self-worth is not dependent on external approval. They do not constantly seek reassurance, nor do they change themselves to fit the expectations of others. They have done the internal work necessary to know who they are, what they value, and what they stand for. Because of this, they move through the world with quiet confidence, unshaken by the opinions of those who do not matter. They take responsibility for their emotions. Immature individuals blame others for how they feel. They lash out and expect the world to accommodate their moods. But those who radiate emotional stability understand that their emotions are their own responsibility. They do not demand that others tiptoe around them. Instead, they develop the skills necessary to regulate their emotions and address their feelings in a productive manner. This makes them dependable rather than draining. They do not allow past traumas to control their present. Everyone carries wounds, but not everyone allows those wounds to define them. Those who have achieved emotional maturity acknowledge their past, but they do not remain imprisoned by it. They do the work to heal, to grow, to ensure that past pain does not dictate future choices. They refuse to let old wounds poison new experiences, and because of this, they approach life with a sense of clarity and resilience. They are capable of deep, meaningful relationships. Emotional stability allows for trust, for intimacy, for connection that is not clouded by unnecessary drama or insecurity. They do not sabotage relationships with jealousy, possessiveness, or erratic behavior. They communicate openly, set boundaries without guilt, and foster relationships based on mutual respect rather than emotional dependency. Others are drawn to them because being in their presence feels safe, steady, and uplifting. They accept what they cannot control. Instead of wasting energy on resentment, frustration, or regret, they focus on what is within their power. They do not fight reality, nor do they cling to illusions of control. They understand that some things are simply beyond their influence, and rather than resist this truth, they adapt. This mindset allows them to remain composed even in difficult circumstances, making them pillars of strength when others would crumble. They approach challenges with logic rather than panic. When difficulties arise, they do not spiral into self-pity or despair. They analyze the situation, consider their options, and take calculated action. They do not allow fear to paralyze them, nor do they let emotions cloud their judgment. Their ability to think clearly under pressure makes them natural leaders, the kind of people others turn to in moments of uncertainty. They set boundaries without guilt. Emotional stability means knowing where to draw the line. They do not allow others to drain them, manipulate them, or violate their peace. They enforce boundaries with calm confidence, understanding that saying no is not cruel, it is necessary. They do not seek to control others, but they also do not allow themselves to be controlled. This balance ensures that their relationships remain healthy and respectful. They do not fear solitude. Many people seek constant distractions, unable to sit with their own thoughts, but those who have reached emotional maturity find peace in solitude. They do not need the constant validation of others to feel whole. They use solitude as a time for reflection, for growth, for recalibration. Their ability to be content alone makes them even more magnetic in social settings, as they bring a sense of completeness rather than desperation. They inspire trust. In a world full of instability, those who radiate emotional maturity stand out. They are the ones others confide in, the ones others turn to for advice, the ones whose presence alone brings a sense of reassurance. They do not create unnecessary drama, nor do they feed into negativity. Instead, they elevate conversations, offer perspective, and provide a steady presence that makes them invaluable in any environment. There is a fundamental difference between those who chase and those who attract. Chasing is rooted in desperation, in the belief that something external must be pursued in order to feel whole. Attraction, on the other hand, comes from a place of self-assurance, from understanding that what is meant for you will naturally gravitate toward you. Those who attract do not beg, they do not plead, they do not grasp at things slipping away. They embody a presence that draws people, opportunities, and experiences to them effortlessly. They know their value. Those who chase often do so because they feel they must prove something, that they must convince others of their worth. But those who attract do not engage in such games. They have done the inner work to understand their own value, and because of that, they do not need external validation. Their confidence is not loud, not performative, but deeply rooted in a quiet certainty that makes them magnetic. They invest in themselves. Instead of wasting energy running after things outside their control, they focus on self-improvement. They refine their skills, strengthen their minds, take care of their bodies, and cultivate emotional resilience. They understand that true attraction is not about manipulation or strategy. It is about becoming someone who naturally draws others in by being the best version of themselves. They set high standards. Those who chase often settle for less than they deserve because they fear being alone, fear missing out, fear that what they want will never come if they do not aggressively pursue it. But those who attract do not lower their standards. They understand that scarcity is an illusion, that true abundance comes from having the patience to wait for what aligns with their values rather than running after anything that temporarily fills a void. They are not easily swayed by external pressures. The world tells people to chase success, chase relationships, chase approval, but those who attract are not concerned with the noise of external expectations. They do not move impulsively, nor do they allow societal pressures to dictate their choices. They move with intention, with purpose, with the understanding that what is right for them will come, and what is not meant for them will fade away. They embody a sense of calm confidence. Desperation repels, certainty attracts. Those who are constantly chasing emit a frantic energy, one that signals neediness rather than strength. But those who attract carry themselves with a steady assurance. They are not constantly looking over their shoulder, wondering if they are enough, questioning if they must do more. They trust in their own presence, and that trust makes them irresistible to the right people and opportunities.